Hey, I'm Tom Hudson from Pulled Apart by Horses.
Want us to interview your band or review your gig? Email all the details to interviews@shockradio.co.uk.
Hello, I am Hayden Bhowon, Head of Music. I'm over at Manchester Academy. It's the 17th of April, yes it is. And I've got Frank Turner next to me and he's already laughing at my little stutter. Hello, good
afternoon. You're alright, you know more about what day of the week it is than I do, so I'm going to trust you on that 17th business. But yeah.
Yeah, how did you get on over in America? I saw some of your YouTube footage and
yes.
It was like dead laugh.
Yeah, Nigel. I used to edit that tour footage together myself, but unfortunately my schedule has now reached a point where there's not enough hours in the day, so Nigel took over. It's fun, I like doing stuff like that because I think it's a good way of kind of sort of breaking down the barrier a bit, do you know what I mean? And just sort of getting across the point that neither I nor anybody in my band or crew consider themselves better than it or different from other people. I was going to just say different, but then I remembered Kiara, my guitar tech, who is out of his mind and is definitely a weirdo. But do you know what I mean? It's that thing of just kind of like just where everyone's on a level. And the States was fun. It was really good. It was really, really hard work actually over there. Just working on promoting the new record, and it was a lot of it was a long, hard slog.
How do the US audience compare to like UK being, well, UK's your home, US it's like a foreign territory to you, I guess?
It is, although I mean I've been touring the States since 2007, so I'm very comfortable being in America. I really like America. It's a good country, and we have a great audience over there. Yeah, really good people. I enjoy the States a lot. I'm kind of more closely associated with the punk scene, I think, in the States than I am over here, which is fine with me. And yeah, good people. I like playing in America. It is good. I've run out of steam.
I was going to say, because there's never sort of a moment where, I guess in like normal terms, you have like a normal life really, because you're always sort of on the road. How does that sort of fare up for you?
Yeah, I mean, well, normal's a very charged word. Do you know what I mean? My normality is being on tour, and it has been for years, and it is from my band and my crew and most of my friends who work in the music industry. I know it's not particularly, it's not necessarily normal in terms of it's not what the majority of people do with their time, but it's, you know, I'm not entirely sure if anybody really lives a normal life. When people say that, they're usually trying to kind of score some kind of point of view. But so, I mean, it's a routine, it's a way of living, it's a way of working that I'm very comfortable with. I've been doing it for a long time. I like it, I really enjoy it. You know, it's hard work a lot of the time, but it's hard work doing something you love that involves travelling, so it's not something I would ever complain about or moan about, do you know what I mean? Because the other thing at the end of the day is that if it was really that terrible being on tour, you could just not go on tour and get another job, you know, and that would it sort of takes the sparks out of the possibility of complaining about it, really, to me. So,
okay, if you weren't a singer-songwriter, then what would your alternative life be then, if you wasn't where you are now?
Who knows? I mean, I'd probably be being a history teacher, or well, trying to be something like that. I'm wary of saying that in a blasé way, like it's a really easy job that anyone can do, because it isn't. You know, I know lots of people who work their arse off for that kind of thing. But something, you know, I'm a history geek. I was very academic when I was younger, and I'd probably be doing something along those lines.
Oh, okay, I think you'd be quite a fun history teacher, to be fair, compared to the like image I have in my head. There was one at secondary school that was renowned for just beating the children at some point.
Wow, that's...
So that was back in the day.
That's terrible. I mean, I may have too many finger tattoos to be a teacher these days. Is there a law? I don't know. There's probably
that is true. Like one of my teachers did get fired for tattoos. Speaking of tattoos, can I, because I didn't get to see it properly, I was over at your Wembley gig last year, can I see the tattoo you had done when you went backstage?
Yes, it's over here. And it already said Wembley in one of the dates. But there was room for another date, so because the first time I played at Wembley was at the stadium with Green Day, and then 2 years later we were next door playing our own show. And if I ever play there again, I'll find more room. There's always more room. But yeah, got that done between the main set and the encore, which was fun. My mum was a little peeved.
Oh, I remember your mum being out, and she didn't look like she wanted to be out.
Well, no, she did a great job with the whole thing, but my mum hates tattoos.
Oh,
and she hates me getting tattoos, so I'm not sure she was over the moon about me getting that.
So, how's everything been since Wembley? Because everything like last year was building up to that point, and now it's sort of just over a year from it. It doesn't seem that long ago. It's sort of flown by from me anyway for like being in the audience. But
well, it's one of those things where I can sort of, in a way, I can feel both ways about it. There are some days when it feels like Wembley was like yesterday, and there are some days when it feels like it was a lifetime ago. You know, since then, I mean, you know, it's all been good. We did that Olympic thing last summer. That was mad, and it was kind of cool in the sense that, like, my only reservation about Wembley was people. There was a moment in time when people were slightly talking about it like it was my farewell gig, and there was no life after Wembley, and it was kind of like, well, it's another gig. The Olympic thing certainly kind of put paid to that. Although then, of course, I now spend my entire life talking about the Olympics and interviews, which is, I mean, I get it, but it's not the most important or exciting thing for me personally. It was a cool gig, but I've done other things that I care about a lot more.
I'm just curious, I know you said that you don't like talking about it, but it's just more, not necessarily what happened, because I was surprised when I saw you there, because I was watching it at home. But how did you actually get the gig over at the Olympics opening ceremony?
Danny Boyle asked me to do it. He's a fan, and he called me up and said, would you like to play in the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games? And I said, yeah. Go on. You know, I mean, the thing about it is that a bunch of people gave me shit doing it, which was predictable and boring. And it's just like, come on, you know, if you get that phone call, you're going to say yes. It's just because life is about experiences, you know, and about doing interesting and new things. And I've never had that opportunity to do that show before, and I never will again. And very few people ever get that opportunity. And to just sort of turn it down through some sort of churlish kind of, you know, sort of, oh, I'm being punk by turning this down. Are you really? Okay, fine, good for you, but f that, I'm going to do it.
No, that's fair enough. It seemed quite cool. You might be intrigued to hear, I turned my granddad into a fan of yours.
Excellent. Good work.
It came up to Christmas time, because he's a massive Billy Bragg fan, and I kept telling him like about the gig at Wembley, and as soon as I saw, like, you put a post on the website about you were making a DVD for it, I was like, right, I'm buying that for him for Christmas.
Nice.
And he loved every single part of it.
Awesome, that's really cool.
So you you're welcome. So I guess you kind of got like a broad variety of audience.
I hope so. I mean, it's something I'm actually quite sort of proud of. I mean, I was about to say that I've worked on, but I'm not really sure that I have, because I'm not really sure why it's worked out like this, but I'm glad that it has. Basically, you know, just there are bands out there who have really narrow demographics. You know, I mean, they'll just all be 14-year-old girls, or all be kind of 19-year-old guys and black jeans. Or, do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
And I think one of the things about my shows is, or at least I like to think, and it seems to me from the stage, and if I'm talking to people after the show, is that there's a really wide variety of walks of life for people who come to my gigs, and I like that. I think it's really good. I think it makes me feel good, the idea that there are two people who might stand next to each other at my show who might not otherwise ever come across each other's paths.
Quite interestingly, not really like crossing each other's paths. When I did go to Wembley, I was with a group of like 3 or 4 of my friends, and one of my friends, his parents had season tickets.
Right.
So they don't normally like the same type of music we do, and sort of frown upon us, like, why are you listening to that? It was quite weird that we were both like in the same room, watching the same person.
But that makes me feel really good. I think it's really cool. You know, I'm much more interested in music as a uniting tool than as a divisive one.
Oh, fair enough. This is more of a question from the station manager and myself, really. It's like, since you've progressed from where you started, you've become slowly like a little less political. Is it more sort of through growing up? Like your views have changed, or?
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of different reasons. I mean, I understand why people think that I'm, or kind of, I think the best word is want me to be a political singer, and people get really annoyed when I'm not, and to which I'm like, sorry, you know, I'm not going to, you know, in fact the dictates of integrity is such that I have to do what I think is right, not what you want me to do, you know, and you can't sort of call me a sellout for not doing what you want to do, but in the process doing something I don't want to do. Do you know what I mean? That's a weird one. Anyway, you know, I mean, I grew up, my view of the world sort of shifted a little bit, not massively, but but also, yeah, I'm just not interested enough in talking about it in public. It's a divisive thing. To me, the most magical thing music can do is when you get a room full of people who are all different, have different ideas, loves, hates, you know, political opinions, whatever, and everyone leaves that bullshit at the door and comes in and has a good time and sings together as a communal activity. That's an amazing, magical moment? And if you I don't want to break that spell particularly. I'm also not interested in receiving hate mail and death threats and endless abuse from people I don't know, who also, I might add, don't know what the f they're talking about either. Do you know what I mean? It's a tiresome thing to have to put up with.
I didn't realise it was sort of that bad, like the extent.
Oh yes, it was, and it wasn't any fun at all at various times, and I just got better things to do with my life actually than put up with being abused by morons.
Fair enough. On a lighter note to wrap up on.
Yeah. Sorry.
Is there anything you can really, really quickly tell us about your up-and-coming album? Just to end tonight.
I think it's good. It comes out on the 22nd, which is a few days away from when we're speaking now. Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of it. I think it's a great record. I think that I and the Super Souls and Rich Crusty came together and made a really, really good album. And I hope people agree. But it is, at the end of the day, for other people to judge. So check it out.